25 so far. Number 10, The Monkey. Barely 6 months after he dropped his bewildering long legs, Osgood Perkins returned with The Monkey, which couldn't be more polar opposite in tone to Perkins's previous effort. A blackly hilarious adaptation of Stephen King's short story of the same name, The Monkey is at its best when it's mining the thigh-slapping absurdity of the cursed toy monkey with the ability to cause random horrifying deaths when its key is turned. Perkins obviously relishes dishing up a smattering of bonkers death scenes, which largely feel akin to Final Destination on bath salts, while weaving a deeply twisted tale of family trauma and toxic sibling rivalry. Theo James gives a terrific performance as twins Hal and Bill, turning out to be a pitch-perfect partner for the sicko thrills of Perkins' script. Above all else, The Monkey just might feature the single funniest smash cut in recent cinema history. If you know, you know. Because Perkins apparently doesn't sleep, his next horror film, Keeper, which will reunite him with The Monkey's Tatiana Maslany, has already been shot and is mere months away from release. Number 9, The Rule of Jenny Penn. The Rule of Jenny Penn is a deliciously twisted psychological horror which boasts an instantly appealing battle of wits between two of our finest actors, John Lithgow and Geoffrey Rush. Rush stars as Stefan, a judge who ends up at a care home after suffering a stroke and soon enough crosses paths with another resident, Dave, played by Lithgow. Dave initially presents as a confused old man before revealing himself to be a secret sadist who terrorizes the care home's residents with a hand puppet known as Jenny Penn. It goes without saying that the two-hander between Lithgow and Rush is magnetic, both performers giving themselves over fully to their roles and keeping material with the potential for silliness on an even often disturbing keel. Writer-director James Ashcroft takes some uneasy swings that mostly pay off, delivering a contained chamber piece that's dripping with mood from start to finish. Evidently, all you need for a robust horror flick is an eerie location, two brilliant actors, and one creepy-ass puppet. Number 8, Ash. The second feature from Flying Lotus is a heady trip of sci-fi horror starring Eiza Gonzalez as an astronaut who wakes up on a strange planet with all of her crew dead, and Aaron Paul as a man who may or may not have been sent to rescue her. Though the John Carpenter-inspired Ash isn't doing a whole lot new on a narrative level, it's all about the how in this case, with Flying Lotus's emphasis on mind-bending visuals and sheer skin-crawling vibes, ensuring it still feels plenty unique. Gonzalez and Paul give solid performances in the lead roles, though it's the striking cinematography, production design, and visual effects which do most of the heavy lifting here, as well as a face-melting score provided by the director himself. If you're in the market for a gonzo body horror romp that's got some seriously gnarly deformation effects, this is just the ticket. And of all the films on this list, Ash might be the one with the greatest potential to become a cult favourite in the years to come. Number 7, Presence. Steven Soderbergh has always been one of our most playful and ambitious filmmakers, and with Presence, he sought to challenge himself by shooting a movie entirely from the perspective of a ghost, on a consumer-grade mirrorless camera, no less. While some horror fans were left a little bemused by Presence's muted, genre-adjacent vibe, it's nevertheless a mostly successful experiment in which the filmmaker takes a more grounded family drama about grief and slowly turns up the eerie supernatural shenanigans. The result is an uncommonly affecting entry into the genre that's propelled forward by its brilliantly understated ensemble cast, luring audiences into a false sense of security such that they probably won't see its surprise-filled third act coming. And above all else, to see a director of Soderbergh's caliber toying around in the horror sandbox and showing what creative artists can do on a limited budget is nothing short of inspiring. Number 6, Companion. Even though the movie's marketing was a little over-eager to tell audiences precisely what it was all about, Companion is still one of the most deftly crafted and well-acted horrors of the year so far. Sophie Thatcher is excellent as Iris, a young woman who is soon enough revealed to be a companion robot belonging to her boyfriend Josh, played by the brilliant Jack Quaid. Writer-director Drew Hancock clearly has a ton of fun turning the screws throughout Companion's tight 97-minute runtime, continually introducing new wrinkles and surprises surprise twists, which further complicate Iris's predicament. Beyond this, it functions as a trenchant commentary on not only our collective reliance on so-called convenience technology in the era of AI, but also how the state of romantic relationships is being continually morphed by such tech. Companion certainly has its convoluted moments that don't quite pass the sniff test, but as a package, it's a wickedly fun ride that melds tense thrills with undeniable topicality. Number 5. Dead Male. Something of a favourite on the genre film festival circuit last year, Dead Male finally landed on Shudder back in April and is one of the most distinctive and stylistically audacious horrors of the past 12 months. Dead Male takes place in the 1980s, Midwestern America, and melds a seemingly familiar kidnapping plot with an unexpected deep dive into the minutiae of dead letter investigators, folks whose job it is to figure out where undelivered mail is supposed to be going. As mundane as the latter might sound, filmmakers Joe DeBoer and Kyle McConaughey do a fantastic job of mining this little-known profession for every possible drop of suspense, aided by a bouncy, non-linear narrative, gorgeously grotty 60mm style, and superb turns from both Sterling Macer Jr. and John Fleck. Dead Male certainly won't be for everyone, especially those expecting a more straightforward kidnapping movie, but its immaculate period style, oozing atmosphere, and lashings of dark comedy make it a thoroughly memorable effort from a unique, highly skilled filmmaking duo. Number 4. Final Destination: Bloodlines. Far and away the best horror movie to ever have the word Bloodlines in its title, the sixth Final Destination didn't merely revive the dormant series after almost 15 years on the bench, it ended up being one of the franchise's strongest entries to date. Directors Zach Lipovsky and Adam Stein do a terrific job with the series' signature death scenes, which are stomach-knottingly suspenseful, regularly expectation-defying, and often darkly hilarious. Bloodlines also offers up some fun riffs on Final Destination's rather muddy rules, while fleshing out the series' wider lore in some clever and inspired ways, especially its treatment of William Bloodworth, played here one last time by the late, great Tony Todd in a highly affecting cameo. Though it doesn't quite sustain its fun and cleverness all the way to the end, this is still a shockingly well-crafted effort for the sixth entry in a horror franchise, and suggests there's still plenty of life left in the old dog yet. Number 3. The Girl with the Needle. Currently the only horror film on this list to be nominated for an Oscar, though that will likely change next year, The Girl with the Needle is a mesmerizing period psychological horror film based on the true story of Danish serial killer Dagmar Overby. Vic Carmenson is magnificent as Caroline, a young woman who begins working as a wet nurse for Dagmar, the founder of a secret adoption agency for struggling mothers that isn't quite what it seems. This is a stylistically gorgeous, monochrome delight that belies how utterly horrific its subject matter is, pulling no punches as it methodically explores the dire reality of Caroline's new place of employment. There's a consistently oppressive, even Lynchian quality to Van Horn's film, which, despite its rooting in real events, so often feels like a waking nightmare of a movie. Son and Dryholm give outstanding performances in the lead roles, bringing nuance to a story that could have so easily turned exploitative. Number 2. The Ugly Stepsister. As Disney continues their industrious effort to remake all of their most beloved classic animated films in live-action form, there's something enormously refreshing about The Ugly Stepsister, a deeply disturbing body horror take on Cinderella which draws its cues from the brothers Grimm's version of the story Aschenputtel. In a stunning directorial debut, Emily Blichfeld demonstrates a masterful command of tone as she offers a revisionist take of the Cinderella fairy tale, unfolding here from the perspective of her ugly stepsister Elvira, played by a brilliant Leah Marin. Blichfeld nimbly threads a tricky needle, offering up a horror film packed to the gills with squirm-inducing body modification, yet never at the expense of character development or potent social commentary. This is a film just as interested in the interior lives of its female characters as their exteriors, all while illustrating the still prevalent tendency for society to pit women against one another in competition. In another reality, lead actress Leah Marin would land herself in the awards conversation for her sublime work, but given how infrequently the Academy recognizes horror performances at all, the substance being a major exception, it'll simply join the list of infuriating snubs. Number 1. Sinners. And finally, we have a true original of not only horror, but cinema as a whole, Ryan Coogler's electrifying Sinners. Coogler's technically audacious, wholly unique riff on the vampire movie takes the time to invest the audience in its characters and period setting, only fully giving itself over to full tilt horror in the third act, but few are likely to complain about that. From the magnificent production design to Coogler's rich writing and a bevy of superb performances led by the brilliant Michael B. Jordan in a dual role, Sinners is a rarest of achievements, a big budget genre film with the soul of an art house piece. Beyond its pulpy inclinations, Sinners also touts a superb sense of time and place, and music plays enough of a pivotal role that you wouldn't be wrong to basically call this movie a secret musical in disguise. And while the film's storming critical and commercial success naturally has Warner Brothers thirsty for a sequel, Coogler remains firm that Sinners will be that rarest of horror hits that's a pure one-off.